Greetings, and welcome to your coach Charlene, to my new podcast where wellness meets purpose and whispers become movements. Welcome to the show today. We are literally on our last video in my series on burnout, nurse burnout, and it has been a very rich time. I've enjoyed just sharing the information, and I hope that you have enjoyed it as well. I want to finish out this one with something that's really important to me because, we talk about different strategies about how to navigate through burnout and deal with emotional exhaustion, realign yourself if you're misaligned. But in this particular video, I want to talk about more so that power that's within you. And so, healthcare can shape you, but it should never define you. You walk into the room with power. So let's make sure that you don't forget that. So in this final video of Burnout series, we're going to get a little personal. We're talking about the real battlefield, and that's the one that's inside of you. When the inner critic is louder than the praise, when the feelings that the system is swallowing your identity, when burnout feels personal, like you're the problem. But hear me. You are not the problem. You are the solution. You have power within you that no system, no title, no trauma can take from you. So by the end, you'll learn how to recognize when the inner critic is driving the bus. And then you'll activate your inner coach instead. You'll build up daily so that you can walk in power and peace, even in the midst of chaotic units. So let's jump into this. The inner critic versus the inner coach. I love this topic because this is one that I had to become a master at. No matter what you're doing in life, whether you're a nurse, you're an engineer, you're a physician, whatever it is, you have an inner critic on the inside of you. And it speaks to you daily, sometimes multiple times a day. But the inner critic is fueled with fear and fatigue and failure. The inner coach is fueled with truth, values, and possibility. You get to choose that voice, whichever one's going to lead you, the inner critic or the inner coach. Here's a question. What are you repeating to yourself right now? And is it helping you to rise? Or is it making you shrink back? See, you're the only one that knows your thoughts. We are human beings. We can introspect. So I can hear a thought before it comes out of my mouth. And so you can hear your thoughts of what you're doing. Like many of us are ruminating on negative thoughts, on I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, or, whatever the thing is. It's something that's trying to talk you out of doing. If it's a position that you wanted to go for, to be promoted, that inner critic is trying to talk about you, or is trying to make or convince you that you're not good enough for that elevation. You're not good enough for that assignment. You're not good enough for that next level, because it's constantly trying to keep you stuck. And so why the inner power matters in healthcare. You see, the system won't validate your worth. You're going to have to anchor that internally. Let me say it again. The system may or may not validate your worth. That's why you have to anchor it internally. You have to know who you are, like I spoke in the last video, to such a degree, and have that anchored on the inside of you, so that when you do run into challenges, when you do run into people that cause you, like, let me just share a story. I had someone that was a leader one time over me that tried to make me shrink to fit into this mold that I was never meant to be a part of. And I refuse to shrink to fit. I am a outside of the box kind of thinker, a forward thinking person, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm a person that walks in their conviction of love. And so I am going to love regardless of what's going on around. I am not the type of leader that is authoritative. It's trying to just like make you do this, make you do that. No, I light the fire within versus underneath because I can get so much more done with inspiring people to be better than making people be better out of threats. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I know you've had a leader or a boss that tried to do things in that particular way, which was absolutely not effective. So, just like I said, the system may not validate your worth, but you have to anchor that internally. You have to do it. You have to lock it in here and have such a conviction of who you are in this, in your heart, that you're not going to cause anything to make you move from that or you to alter your values for this inner critic. So, the second thing I want to talk about, roles change, circumstances shift, but your identity, that's built. And that's built with what I told you about, that self-discovery. That's why I'm kind of harping on that a little bit. I believe I'm going to give you 3 keys: self-discovery, self-manifestation, and self-release. Self-discovery, I explained in the last video. Go check it out if you didn't get to see it. But it's figuring out who you are beyond the title. But self-manifestation, it's actually doing the work to become that person. Because maybe the journey isn't necessarily about becoming, it's about unbecoming everything that's not like you so that you can become who you were intended to be in the first place. You know, sometimes throughout life, all of these layers are piled on us of what other people wanted us to be, or, you know, all of the false misconceptions and things like that, the labels that have been spoken into our lives that we unfortunately have grabbed and said that it's true. All of that, that's, you know, hindering you knowing who you are. And so manifestation means I'm going to strip all that stuff off of me. I'm going to do the work that I need to get rid of all of these these labels that people have placed on you throughout your life, even as a child growing up. You know, sometimes those words, because they're so powerful, they can get a grip on our life. And so it's really important for you to do that work. That work right there is tough work. The manifestation part, you know, you're trying to get to a certain place, but you got to go through the process. If I have a bad attitude, as a nurse, for instance, I need to do something about that because I don't need my bad attitude affecting a sick patient's life. That's why you are the one that's responsible for that. So if somebody has told you you had a bad attitude or you're really short or you're not compassionate, you know what? Don't get offended about it. Just do the work, do the inside work, especially if it's a repetitive thing that people are saying that you're doing, and be okay with feedback also. Build it day by day, your daily habits, your practices that help you to be a better human being. And then the third thing I want to say is you don't just bring skills into the workplace. We are excellent clinicians. We are expected to be exceptional at our clinical expertise, whichever area that you're in. That is an expectation. But we also have a presence, a purpose, and power that we carry with us. So patients and you as a patient expect the best care. That's just part of what we do, right? That shouldn't even be a issue. What about your presence? What about knowing your purpose? What about knowing the power that you possess? That power that you possess is so profound that you can walk into the room, change the atmosphere because of your authentic presence that you're walking in, and set things on a positive note where you will guide the room with your energy versus the other energy coming back at you if it's negative. We have that kind of power. So walk in it. I want you to walk in it. You see, I'm going to remind you this again. Healthcare can't define you. You define how you show up. You're the one who sets the tone. You're the one who sets the atmosphere. Okay? Now, let's get into activating that inner coach. Use your voice. Use the different things, practices that help you to know your own voice. And I like to use affirmations, declarations. Like I said, I'm a woman of prayer, so I'm praying for clarity and things like that. And so this is really important because whenever you decide to do something, like take a risk, that inner critic is going to say something. Or if it's a position that you want and you're ready to go for it, but the inner critic is saying, oh, they're not going to pick you because of A, B, and C, or you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not cute enough, whatever the inner critic decides to tell you today, it is going to do what it's going to do. Here's the deal. I want you to allow the inner coach to be so you have done such work that when that inner critic says you are not enough, the inner coach is louder and says you are more than enough. You see that? There's the combat. It's almost like a contending. When you hear something negative come out, you go in reverse and you say it louder, but you keep on cultivating your inner coach so that it will be louder than the inner critic, period. So I'm going to help you tap into dreaming, driving, and delivering. And so here's daily questions for you. What am I speaking over myself? Because honestly, we speak the most worst. We speak the things that are so negative sometimes over ourselves. What's one thing you can do today that honors who you truly are? And if you don't know who you truly are, you have to get in silence and begin to ask the questions to God. Who am I? Why was I here? Why were you motivated to create me? Whatever question you want to ask yourself till you can find out who you are. And the third question is, where do I need to realign with my power? Do I need to take my power back? Have I been shrinking to fit because I'm trying to prove myself? You're the only one that can answer that question. And then here's a few power practices to build yourself up. I think I've mentioned them throughout the talk, but just for organization's sake, speak life first thing in the morning. Good morning, Charlene. You are loved and appreciated. If nobody else told me that I was loved and appreciated, I told me that I'm loved and appreciated. Do you see how much power you take back with that? Waiting for someone to pat you on the back, waiting for someone to tell you that they love you. You love you first. All right? Set your intention before you go in every shift. Like I told you, I actually did declarations. I walk in undisturbed composure. That's a declaration that Charlene has that is locked into my heart, that guides me through my day. And then here's an affirmation. I am not what happened to me. I am who I decide to become, not anybody else, but who I decide to become. I bring value. I shift atmospheres. I am the light. Even if no one acknowledges it, I know I am the light. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me through the Burnout series. This isn't the end, though. It's the beginning of your return to yourself. Now, let me just recap a little bit. You walked away with a clear understanding of the internal battle between the critic and the coach. A few tools to build your confidence from within, permission to reclaim your identity beyond your role, and of course, power practices to begin each day aligned. Now, this particular series is a launching pad. That's why I told you that this is not the end. I am going to be offering starting January 2026 until June, so a 6-month course for cultivating the inner coach in you. And so if you want to be a part of this virtual session, I would love for you to say, count me in, in the comments so that I can put you on the list when I began to announce it. But it is a 6-month program. I'll be going live. We'll be in class once a month, but there'll be homework and opportunities in the group so that we can share. And so if you want to be a part of that, a great way to kick off the new year, because I'm believing for wonderful things to happen for you for the new year. And so my workbook, I also will have it in just a workbook format. If you want to just get the workbook, that workbook is actually complete. I just need to publish it. But it will be a part of the cultivating the inner coach in you, because I want you to dream, I want you to drive, and I want you to deliver all that God has put on the inside of you, or all that your dreams that you have been believing for. Or I want you to be the person that you want to be, a higher expression of yourself. So thank you so much for watching this series. Do me a favor and share it with other people, share it with other nurses, healthcare workers, industry leaders, just anybody that you think needs to be encouraged. All of us struggle with hearing this inner coach, with this inner critic constantly combating our thoughts with negative thoughts. Matter of fact, I think it said like 80% of our thoughts are negative. And we have, I think it's actually more than 50,000 negative things that come into our mind. I think actually it's about 6,000 were just thoughts that come into our mind, but some of them are repetitive. So that's why the number gets higher. And so I want to help you with that. No matter whether you're a nurse or you're working in Walmart, wherever you are, the inner coach on the inside of you wants to make you stand tall and to rise again and not be defeated by the inner critic that's within. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. I will announce what I'm doing next soon, and put in the comments, I want to be a part. Count me in, and I will put you on the interest list for that. And join my Substack community, because they're going to get first dibs at being a part of this new class for the first 6 months of 2026. Thank you so much for listening. And remember that we have to be people that take care of ourselves, because well-being starts from within. See you soon.